Welcome to the Mailbag here on this Thursday, August 20th, 2026. Bit earlier than usual. As I mentioned earlier in the week, I've got some plans tomorrow that I will not be able to record a show. So, if you didn't get the message and you're a little bit late to the party, well, you can still send an email to me and I'll read it on the Sunday Weekend Review, our flagship show for the week. Just send over your questions or comments or your complaints, whatever you'd like, over to mailbag@wwepodcast.com. So let's just get into these emails and see how far we can get. We'll start with Adam. Very, very quick email. He says, "Hi, Matt. Has anyone checked in on DJ Kuzma?" I think he meant Kuzmo. "Is he doing okay since WWE has buried Joe Hendry?" He's fine. From what I understand, he just has moved on from the show. And I mean, he may still be listening, but as far as his segments go, he's moved on. No bad blood, no tension, just an amicable kind of moving on. He's got other projects and hope he's doing well. That's really the extent of the story. That's really kind of it. Thanks, Adam. Let's talk to Danny. He says, "Hey, Matt, hope you're well. I've been keeping up with WWE or WWE for the last month or two. However, I haven't been watching regularly just due to time and other commitments. The direction they're taking after SummerSlam on both Raw and SmackDown seem to be intriguing, especially with Punk and Owens and Knight and Reigns. I have two questions and also another I've been curious about. One, I'm pretty sure Rollins hasn't been seen since SummerSlam. Do you have any idea the direction he's going when he returns? I don't think he's going to be going after a title. I'm curious if he's just going to have a one-on-one feud, but I genuinely don't know who it could be." It's a good question. He's not injured from what I understand. He's just being held off for creative reasons, and it could be just a simple, we're going to wait till the Saturday night main event. Could be until we get to Money in the Bank. He will certainly be involved in the Money in the Bank conversation. He's a former Money in the Bank winner, as we all know, infamously. So I think that's really just kind of it. And I think, where does he slide in? I would say, I mean, he's probably going to stay on Raw. He's probably going to be involved in the Solo Sikoa Knight alliance. And you'll see him slowly start to join them, because guess what's coming in November? You'll see him and Knight and Solo all on the same side fighting against the Bloodline. So I think right away, Rollins is going to go right back to facing the Bloodline. Doesn't mean, again, he's, like you said, going to have a title opportunity, or if he does, we all know he's not going to win. But it's really full steam ahead for Money in the Bank. And then immediately after that, you're going to see him, or even before then, hints of him aligning with Solo and with Knight to form the team against the Bloodline, who are now back in the heel role, if you're keeping track at home. But overall, I would agree that Raw and SmackDown have taken a much more positive turn post SummerSlam. The build to SummerSlam was one of the worst I've ever seen. It was worse than WrestleMania this year. It was arguably, but not verifiably, because there's no way to really verify it. Everything's all relative, and there's no way everyone remembers every build for every big PLE. But it may have been one of the worst builds of all time for a big PLE. 2, when do you anticipate Cody turning heel, if ever? On a big PLE. It has to be on a big time show. WrestleMania is the easy answer. It's the lazy answer. But it's a very possible result. So you could easily have Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania turn heel. Why not? It's the biggest stage of the whole year. But if it's not WrestleMania, it could be Rumble. It could be at a Survivor Series. But you've seen hints of it. He said in his promo a week or two ago, I don't have to be the good guy anymore. He's wore black more often. He's gotten edgier in his promos. He's attacked people from behind. Are all of those individually evidence? I don't know, but collectively, you look at it and you're like, maybe. If you're looking for some kind of reasoning as to maybe why WWE is pointing that direction, you could compile all that and go, here you go. This is my best justification and evidence for him turning heel. But I don't think it's imminent. They think they have more juice to squeeze out of this babyface run but I do believe that it's going to be in the next 12 months. I really do believe that, because I don't think a year from now I could imagine this version of Cody Rhodes that has gotten stale and got stale a long time ago. This version of Cody sticking around and being still cheered by the audience. And don't get me wrong, he's not getting outright booed, but read the room. And if you take the temperature of him as well and just look at him, use your eyeballs. He doesn't have the same support he did, which is normal. Not saying it's wrong or he should be fired or he's no longer a star. Quite the opposite. It's time for a change. That's all. It's a natural cycle. Rock went through it. Austin went through it. Cena went through it. The New Day that we never thought would turn heel turned heel, although it was obviously horrifically followed up on. Everyone that you never thought would has eventually. So will Cody turn heel? Yes. Will it be tomorrow? No. Will it be in the next calendar year? I think so. 3, I've always been curious about what you do for work. I get it if you don't want to share. I've just been always curious. Yeah, thanks, Danny. I am very open with you guys, but with how insane some people are, and you never know who's listening. And I know there's a lot of people that actually truly don't like me, which is fine, but I don't want to just foolishly give any information out about myself. That's all. I mean, it's just today's people and culture is insane. And that's the reason I'm not going to disclose it. That's all. So, all right. Thanks, Danny. Dylan says, hey, I got some random questions for you. I love this series. Favorite logo of Raw and favorite logo of SmackDown? Oh, boy. I'm going to say I loved the original SmackDown logo. This is also kind of a lazy answer, but it's probably that I'm filled with nostalgia as a millennial. It's the disease we all inherently have been infected with. SmackDown, the original SmackDown Raw logo was awesome in 1999 when it first debuted. That would probably be my favorite. The favorite Raw logo is when it was Raw is War in the Attitude Era. Again, I know, lazy answer, predictable, but that's just true. It just was. On top of the intro to Raw of Monday Night Raw, or when it was called Raw's War, was just so much better. Go back and watch, if anybody hasn't and they haven't lived through the Attitude Era or even into the Ruthless Aggression Era, go back and watch the Raw intros from the late 90s. It's just so, to pun a phrase, it's raw. It's just so, or it feels so organic. It feels like you're watching something that's about just men beating the shit out of each other, competing for championships, which is really what wrestling is at its core. And it's become so much more produced. And some may say, well, that's an improvement. But yeah, is it? The improvements are subjective. But it's that would be my answer to that. Current wrestler you dream to meet? Good question. Probably The Rock. I've met Austin. I'd love to meet Austin again. I told my story about when I met him when I was 15, 16 years old, back in 2001, right before WrestleMania 17. But The Rock, only because it's not that I have any love for him as a human being per se. It's just, he's one of the biggest wrestlers of all time. And growing up, his character had a lot of effect on me and on a personal level too. So probably The Rock. I'd like to meet him. Get drunk with either Vince McMahon or Adam Pearce. By far, McMahon. The reason, I mean, again, I think Adam Pearce is probably a more genuine human being, at least on the surface from what we know as fans. But Vince McMahon has got a much more, by far, interesting life. I'd love to hear what the man says hammered. He says stupid shit sober. So, I mean, him being drunk, I would love to hear what he has to say. The things he would do, and that's, to me, a no-brainer. Do you like anime? I have to say I'm neutral. Never got into it, but I never really gave it a try. I mean, I can barely watch wrestling, much less add a whole new genre of entertainment to my plate. I can't. So I feel neutral. I don't love it, don't hate it, don't really have an opinion on it, to be honest. Favorite thing to do on your phone while taking a big old-fashioned poop? I mean, scroll TikTok. Who doesn't do? I mean, pretty much you name it on the toilet, we've all done it. When you're on there and just taking care of business, it ranges anywhere from doing some work for my actual job that I won't disclose to actually just scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram, texting. But what's my favorite? Probably, I mean, Call of Duty. I'm a big fan of Call of Duty, and maybe I don't do a whole lot of this when I'm, taking a shit, but I do love Call of Duty Mobile. If you guys find me on there, and you can give it a try, if anybody wants to share, I don't even know how to set up a game on Call of Duty. It's like a one-on-one. I'm not sure, because I just do the battle royals or whatever they call it. Just regular non-ranked matches, I should say. Anywhere, I love the maps. Anywhere from Crossroads to, of course, Nuketown, which is everybody's favorite. Crossroads Strike, not a big fan of that. Oasis. What's another one? Oh, Hijacked. Love Hijacked on the boat. Express. Those of you that know. If you don't, you're like, who cares about Call of Duty? Well, I try to play it on my PS5, but lately I've been really into it. I think I'm ranked 140. My level anyway is 140 out of 400. So I've been on there quite a bit. If you could FaceTime any wrestler in the world right now and say, fuck you, who would it be? I mean, so Jacob Fatu. I mean, that's easy. Cats or dogs? If I had to choose, dogs. As I say, I'm really not I'm not a big animal guy. And I know a lot of people, that's a red flag. You don't like animals? Well, again, I don't wish harm on them. That's why I didn't really give a shit when CM Punk is getting a bellyache over his dog and then gets a patch of his fucking dog on his shirt as if we're all supposed to mourn his loss. And again, I know a lot of people have dogs in the family that they loved, and I truly feel sympathy for you. I do. I feel sympathy for your loss. I do. And I'm not making fun of that. But at the same time, for me, my personal view is I shouldn't have to deal, if you have a dog, I shouldn't have to deal with, oh, he's friendly, and then your dog jumps on me and I'm supposed to act like this is fine. Fuck that. Or you get the people that have pit bulls and they say, well, my pit bull's friendly. My pit bull would never hurt anyone. Yeah, that's what they all say until they maul the 6-year-old kid across the street. Pit bulls should, and I said this before, I will continue to say it, pit bulls should be euthanized as a breed. Not my pit bull. Yeah, okay. What did the other people that got a pit bull say? They said the same fucking thing. Pit bulls should just not exist as a breed. They're too dangerous. Or if they do exist, they should just be caged. And I don't know for what use, but they should not be allowed by law in any neighborhood, residential area at all, ever. But honestly, I'm not a big animal lover. I never, I take it or leave it. I don't physically or actively hate animals. I don't at all. But I don't go out of my way to pretend that cats or dogs are somehow equivalent to having a child. I mean, you hear people all the time saying, I'm a dog mom, I'm a dog dad, I'm a cat mom. No, you're not. No, you're a pet owner. But they want to somehow elevate the status of just owning a fucking animal. You're not. It's a substitute for being a childless person. That's what it is. It's not meant to be a slight. It's just the truth. People don't like that, but that's what that is. Many people, as you'll notice, not all, but most of the people that call themselves dog moms, dog dads, cat moms, whatever, are childless people, childless couples, or single people. And there's just this obsession lately with that. And anyway, moving on. Peter Griffin or Mr. Krabs? I don't even know who Mr. Krabs is. Is that from SpongeBob or something? I'm not sure. Or by far Peter Griffin. Not even a question. Wendy's or Burger King? That's tough. Depends what I'm eating. I don't eat either of these very frequently. Probably Burger King, but Wendy's has got great fries. Chicken or pork? Chicken. Favorite WWE weapon under the ring? Under the ring? I mean, I guess there can be anything under the ring. If we're going to negate steel chairs, I'm a big fan of steel chairs. And I miss chair shots to the head. I really, really do. The sick part of me like very much misses the days of chair shots to the head. But if we're taking steel chairs out of it, and say we're taking even tables out of it, the common stuff, what's one of my favorite weapons? I mean, garbage cans are fun because they just bend like aluminum foil and they don't hurt anybody. Ladders are fun. Thumbtacks if you want to go crazy. Fire extinguisher doesn't really do much for me. It's very fun visually to see the fire extinguisher, but Kendo stick I think is overused. I hate kendo sticks because they make a nice sound, but it's as a viewer at home, I don't know, it doesn't have the impact that you want. But this is kind of a rundown of some of the common things. Maybe the sledgehammer by Triple H, when he would bring that thing out when he was competing. While he was very careful of using it on his opponents, because oftentimes it wasn't a worked or gimmicked sledgehammer, he'd have to cover the top of it, and he would deliver it in a great way, as safe as you could make it, but also as good looking as you could make it. So I like the sledgehammer. Big fan. Continuing. Weirdest place you've ever had to take an emergency piss? Let me think. I mean, not drunk. When you're drunk, you just find a place, wherever's available that you get to roll the dice that no one's gonna see you, right? Or the police aren't around. And this is many, many years ago in a previous life with a previous girlfriend. I remember pissing because we were stuck in traffic driving back from, I don't know, one of her family's friends' places down in Virginia or something. That's a whole nother relationship I could do a podcast on. But I would say that one, because we were driving back and I had to piss, and her family's in the car, like next to me, and I had to pee in the bottle while her family was in there because I was going to just pee in the car. I mean, it was that bad. So I was, if you're wondering my age, it was low 20s. So old enough to know I should have pissed before I left. All right. Harry Potter or Star Wars? Oh, Harry Potter, hands down. And the reason is also too, I try to give Star Wars a try. I don't, it's one of those things too. Maybe I haven't tried hard enough, but Harry Potter, I sound like a woman, but I mean, Harry Potter is just so well done. PlayStation or Xbox? PlayStation. But I have owned an Xbox. I've owned an Xbox 360. I have not owned an Xbox One or X or whatever they got now. I may give that another try when the next generation of consoles come out next year. We'll see. Most emotional part in wrestling that you've seen that made you cry? I mean, there's been a few things over the years, but nothing for me has touched the level of Eddie Guerrero. And that was 21 years ago now. And Eddie Guerrero by far was the most emotional. The Chris Benoit thing, up until the point where we found out what he did. Owen Hart was sad, I remember, but even Owen Hart I didn't feel as connected to for some reason than I did Eddie Guerrero, like many people did. I'm not alone in that. The Ultimate Warrior dying, Hulk Hogan dying. But although, I mean, it's just sad, but I didn't really actually sit there and weep. But yeah, I think Eddie Guerrero. I mean, if you haven't heard the story, I'll just very, very briefly kind of give you the gist of it. I was in a college down in South Carolina, and I was in my dorm room and or apartment off campus anyway. And I remember waking up in the morning, and I saw on WWE.com, which is where you got most of your news. Those days you didn't have an iPhone, so I went on my Dell Inspiron, the big fucking heavy thing. I remember the computer so well. And WWE.com, and I saw this big picture of Eddie Guerrero, and the caption was "tragic loss." I'm like, what the fuck? What happened, right? And it was kind of shocking because he had just been on TV. He was in the middle of a storyline with Mr. Kennedy. You didn't know if he was he was about to turn heel again, if you could be, or a babyface again, because could he be trusted with Batista and Rey Mysterio? He was in that kind of thing. And I thought it was kind of a joke, or this can't be right. And then the Raw that preceded it was the music video, the people in the crowd just absolutely just shattered that didn't even know him personally. That one, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is or why, but Eddie Guerrero, a guy that 99% of us have never met in our lives, did not know on a personal level, but I think many can attest to this because I've talked to a lot of people about this over the years. There was something different about that Eddie Guerrero death that was just so much different than any other ones we've seen. And a lot have been sad and a lot have been tragic and sudden. That one hit different. So that's an easy one for me. Oba's strut or Chad's clapping? I guess Chad's clapping because it doesn't look so damn silly as Oba's strut. What would you do if Jacob Fatu called you crying and said, why are you making fun of me all the time? If he was serious and it wasn't a setup, I would tell him that, well, it's because your BMI is higher than your IQ. That's what I would say. And then I'd hear him weep and I'd hang up. Will there ever be a way to game with you? That's funny. I actually didn't even know that I would be talking about Call of Duty. Call of Duty, if anybody wants to find me on there, and this is the same gamer tag I have, whether it's mobile or whether it's on PS5, it's PPC316. I won't tell you what that stands for because it's embarrassing, but you can get the 316. We all know what that is. PPC316. All right, Dylan. Good stuff. I love these questions. Again, it takes me away from wrestling for a minute, which is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Sometimes I need a break. All right. Let's go to Wes. It says, I thought this week I would open with a question and close with a scenario I thought of, thanks to many Michael Cole scenarios that you are asked, as well as my overactive imagination inspired from Curtis's email last week. The question comes from my visit with my father, who got me into wrestling as a kid and having many memories of wrestling and watching WCW with him, and my brother back in the 90s and WWE through the Ruthless Aggression era. We were watching some of the great pay-per-views of the late 80s and early 90s, and I was curious who your favorite wrestler of this era was. It can be from the WWF, WCW, ECW, or NWA. I also wanted to throw out some thoughts from this past week, starting with SmackDown. By the way, is it just me who feels like SmackDown is the top show right now? That fluctuates. First of all, I'm going to answer your questions backwards, but SmackDown, it's all about star power. And I think a lot of this feeling about which show's better often has to do with, are there big stars on that show? Not always, but a good rule of thumb is that. So SmackDown right now with Kevin Owens back, Cody Rhodes, who's kind of in and out, Randy Orton's back. You have a little bit of a feeling of rejuvenation. So I think that's a part of it. As far as who my favorite wrestler of the late 80s, early 90s, well, again, it's hard for me to really say because I'd have to go back and pick one. But if I didn't experience it firsthand in real time, I would just be kind of picking somebody out of thin air. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, Hulk Hogan in the early 90s. That was also kind of a dead year for WWF. That was a time when they were still putting forth like hokey cartoon characters, and that was before the whole Attitude Era was born, and that's why WWF was hanging on by its skin of its teeth from not going bankrupt, because it needed a change in strategy. I didn't start watching till 1997. So that was about 5 to 7 years before your question. I mean, again, we all know Hulk Hogan. We know The Warrior. We know that era. I mean, Andre the Giant. The more I watch Andre the Giant and documentaries about him, I have to say he might be one of my, if not my favorite of the 80s. Even though, again, I didn't watch in the 80s. I had just been born. But Hulk Hogan. I mean, Hulk Hogan, too, just because he's the single most iconic wrestler in the history of wrestling. But Andre the Giant, the things he could do, the type of person he actually was as a human being, everything else that comes with him, the legacy he left behind in the ring, he, to me, might be my favorite. If I'm going to pick a guy, it would be, and again, I know that at that point, we had him kind of moving away from wrestling. I get it. And, he would die shortly thereafter. But at the tail end, if you're, I can fit your question here into my answer of Andre the Giant. The scenario is that you have retired from your wrestling career and are now commentating with Michael Cole, and the match just ended for the number one contender, and post-match Ice Veins West is being attacked and laid out by Diesel Joe, who is pouring gasoline on top of him at the orders of King Curtis, the world champion. It is apparent that King Curtis is going to set him on fire. You have a checkered history with Ice and Curtis, having worked with Ice and his brother, who was taken out of action a couple weeks ago, and having earned the respect of King Curtis in my many bouts against his previous factions. Curtis and Joe have decided to get you to become part of their faction. You are standing in the commentary desk trying to figure out your next move. Do you rush in and hit Joe with a stunner and roll Wes out of the ring? Light the match yourself and join the faction? Stay at your desk and call play-by-play because you're retired and don't owe anyone anything, or do something else? Peace and blessings, Wes. Okay, interesting kind of scenario here, a bit different from Cole, but I've always, if I ever, and it's way too late for me now, and I don't have the height nor many other factors that you'd need to be a successful wrestler, but in this alternate universe where I am one, I would love to be a heel. I always thought in my younger years, and I'll get to you answering your question, but this is the pretext for answering your question. In my younger years of watching wrestling, you look at Stone Cold and the mega baby faces, and you're like, can you imagine that reaction, the adrenaline you'd get? And Austin's talked about it many, many times. And yeah, there is something to be said for that. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten more cynical, and I've learned to love and embrace and really lean into the people that don't like me, which means like doing things. If somebody says something they don't like that I do, and this is not for everybody in my life, I'm not a fucking moron, right? If my wife says, I don't like when you do this, I'm not going to purposely do certain things to piss her off and everybody's angry at everybody. No, but as a general rule, especially in the pro wrestling world, in this world of podcasting, if someone says they don't like something that I do, that is the best, most effective way to get me to do it more. Which means I would fit perfectly as a heel. I wouldn't give a shit about the crowd wanting to cheer me. I would do everything in my power to get them to genuinely hate me. Now, when I go to the level of Ricochet, who's an absolute moron in AEW, who's got the IQ of a houseplant, no, I wouldn't do that. I mean, Ricochet he's right up there with Jacob Fatu in terms of there's just a lack of brain matter up there. If I were to enter his brain, it would be just this hollow cave that you could hear your voice in. Ricochet is just another topic, but I think you get my feeling on him. But I would love to be a heel. I would love it. Love it. So what would my answer be? I'd light the match and join the faction. And then I'd have all the other guys do my heavy lifting. I'd be the little bitch who just runs his mouth, sets fires and runs. That's what I do. Oh man. This is always good stuff. Okay. Next email from Robert. I was doing backyard wrestling in the 2000s. I worked my way to the hardcore title, going through tables on fire. Wow. Ladders, chairs, and walls. I beat the champion, who was also heavyweight champion at 6'2", about 300 pounds. Later on, during a rematch with the ex-champion, I broke my foot and still won. The following week, I came back in a walking cast and still competed and won matches. Yes, I used the cast on my leg to win matches. My character was a cross between Mick Fowler and Terry Funk. I was Super Funk, and it was all taped in upstate New York, and it was a blast. Well, my friend, you might have been literally in my backyard. There was something about that upstate New York feeling. It's funny. Now, first of all, that is a hell of a dedication to break your foot, come back, use the cast as a weapon, and still compete. That's dedication. I don't know if I got injured from actually doing any of the wrestling. We didn't kill each other. We were aware of the risks, but we still did them anyway because we're invincible. And when you're 18 to 21, nothing can hurt you or stop you. You really just put the risks of life out of your brain and think that will never happen to me. We actually did have an injury. One of my friends, who at the time was one of my friends anyway, not a current friend, but we used hammers in one of the matches, and we had a ladder, and he went up the ladder. One person went up one side, one person went up the other. One of the guys, quote unquote, hit the other guy in the head with the hammer, which he didn't actually hit him. So he hit him right. He hit him the right way, not actually hurting him. But the problem was the guy who was hit in the head with the hammer fell off. And then the hammer slipped out of the other guy's hand, and the hammer hit him right in the head, like the backside of the hammer, where you pull the nails out, right? The ass end of the hammer, and it cut his head open. And we're like, oh shit. And I was also using, and this has nothing to do with injury, but while we're on the topic of weird wrestling stories, I was 20 at the time, 19, 20 years old. So not legal for any kind of drinking alcohol, but since I was a direct, complete knockoff of Stone Cold, because I had no original ideas to rub together, I would go in my friend's basement where we had the wrestling, and I'd steal his dad's beer from the fridge. And he ended up blaming it on some other guys, and I didn't want to take the fall. I'm like, yeah, it's these assholes. I didn't touch it. Meanwhile, I'm on camera, and these videos still exist, like I said last week. I was on camera, like, doing the Stone Cold thing with the beer. And it was his beer. So I admit that 20 years later. All right, let's continue. A couple more emails and we'll close out the show. This is, let's see, from Andrew. He says, last year, I wanted Roman to destroy Solo and the Bloodline. This year, I want Solo to destroy Roman and the Bloodline. What a time to be alive. Well, Andrew, you're getting all facets, all possibilities. If you like the Bloodline story and you're not sick of it yet and you feel that there is more left to give from that story, you are having a ball. I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm over it. The only thing I'm interested in, honestly, is the Solo Sikoa character, like many people. Solo has reinvented himself, seemingly overnight. Kind of amazing that it's almost as if a switch was flipped. And they said, okay, Solo, you ready to reinvent yourself? And they just went in the room and turned on the light. It was that quick. It wasn't a slow progression, or he did something that was inadvertently funny and they kind of leaned into it. No. They have just decided, let's see what happens. And instantly, Solo has gone from being a bore on TV with the MFTs for how long that was, 12 months, to being, I got to see this guy and see what he's going to say. That's how quickly he's shifted. You don't see a shift like that often. I just hope for him that it's not this kind of fad thing and it doesn't just fade away quickly and the fans hopefully gravitate to this and stick with it. I hope that's the case. All right. One more email. And it says, hi, Matt, from, Wes. I thought this week I would open the question and close with the scenario inspired by the Michael Cole scenario. Boy, this Michael Cole scenarios are just crazy, guys. All right. Some wrestling nostalgia sparked by Curtis's recent email. Okay, let's see what you got. Let's go. To start, I was recently visiting my father, who got me into wrestling. And wait a minute, didn't I just read this? I feel like I just read this. Maybe you sent me two emails, Wes. All right, maybe hold on a second. I'm reading through this email because it looks like I might have already. Never mind. I already read this. I am a moron. I'm moving on. I apologize, guys. It is late. I've got a busy day tomorrow. And to be honest with you, it's a golf tournament. So you guys are being bested and overlooked, overshadowed, and pushed aside for a golf tournament. That's literally it. Yeah. I've fallen into the trap of the white suburban dad scenario of being into golf. I don't know how it happened. I don't know who poisoned me, but all of a sudden and this actually happened a year ago where I started to really get into it. I'm like, you know what? God damn it. This is fun. And all of you out there maybe that don't like it or think it's boring, I was with you. Now I'm watching the Masters. I'm watching TikToks about how to improve my game and the things I can do and shifting my weight and twisting my hips and follow through and grip on the club and different balls, clubs, just you name it. It's absurd. And don't try it knock until you try it, rather. Because while you're young, if any of you are younger than me, I'm in my early 40s. If you are in your 20s and you're laughing at this, talk to me in a few years. Talk to me in 5 to 10 years, or give it a try. You don't have to be my age to do it. It's low risk of injury. It's kind of a peaceful thing if you like kind of serenity, but you can make it a fun drinking game. I mean, that's what tournaments are half about, is the drinking. But you can really enjoy yourself, and it's a very kind of bonding sport if you have friends that are into it too. So as you can tell, I'm a very warm, cuddly guy. I'm always looking for that human connection. Very, very much so. I'm always kind of pining for people to call me and just to call. You know, I don't like to text. I do sit there at night. I wait up, usually until about midnight, and I'll sit there and I just kind of with tears strolling down my face, and I'll say, "Can someone just please call me?" Waiting for that call from somebody to just say, "Hey, what you doing?" There's nothing I like more. I mean, I am a people person to my core. Good thing this isn't on video, or you would see all of the sarcasm just dripping off my face. So that'll do it. I will call it a night now. A little bit of a short show here, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back on Sunday with your weekend review. And again, if you missed the mailbag or you want to add to it, send me an email. I'll include it in the Sunday show. Mailbag@wwepodcast.com. That'll do it for me, everybody. Enjoy your week, and I'll talk to you in a couple days. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to wwepodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.